Comic Boom.
Hey guys, Comic Boom here to review Superman issue 12, and we pick up right where we left off with Superman meeting up with Supergirl, and he's with John Kent, and he's also with Jor-el, and there's General Zod, and there's Rogol Zaar. There's all kinds of chaos flowing out of the issues of Superman issue 11 last issue, and Supergirl issue, I can't remember, whatever it was, but a lot of chaos is happening right here, guys, and it's quite apparent that things are moving at a very fast pace. What's going on in Superman under Bendis here is much more faster pace in terms of action than what's going on in the pages of Action Comics. But at least, you know, I will say that with Action Comics, that's flowing into the events of Leviathan with the Red Mist, with Miss Leon, and with the Leviathan Rising one-shot and leading into events. The event Leviathan, which is now issue 1, came out this week, which is the beginning of a 6-issue series. But this here with Superman number 12, this carries on Superman's galactic adventures, because when he's not on, or when he's on Earth, he's dealing with the events of Leviathan, and when he's in space, he's basically dealing with the secrets of the destruction of Krypton. What specific role did Rogol Zaar play, as well as what specific events did the members of the Circle play? And that's what's very interesting. Now, just a little bit of background for this issue 12 of Superman. The people that make up the Circle, we have the Thanagarians, we've got the Rainians, and the Rainians are represented by Sardath. We got the Tamaranians, and King Myander represents the Tamaranians. And we got the Trillium Galaxy Collective, which is represented by Gandello, and Gandello is the enemy that is battling Supergirl in the pages of Supergirl. Now, Supergirl found out through all her adventures in her comic book, she found out that basically Gandello basically hired Rogol Zaar, and Gandello basically betrayed her own people, the Trillium Galaxy Collective. She betrayed her own people and hired Rogol Zaar to basically destroy Krypton. Now, that we still don't know why Krypton was destroyed. Why did Gandello work with Rogol Zaar to destroy Krypton? And also, how many other people knew, how many other people were in concert with Gandello and Rogol Zaar to destroy Krypton? Now, what's revealed in this issue is very interesting, because it's revealed that Jor-el himself was a member of the Circle, which is very interesting, because Jor-el, of course, is a Kryptonian scientist, and then we also have the Ranians. Sardath, who's a member of the Ranian, he's the leading scientist on the planet Ran, and of course Jor-el was the leading scientist on the planet Krypton. So the fact that we basically had those 5 key members of the Circle, and somehow it was decided that Krypton must be destroyed. What role did Jor-el play in the decision making that led to the destruction of Krypton? Did Jor-el know specifically that Gandello was hiring Rogol Zaar in order to destroy Krypton? I somewhat doubt it, but these are the questions that even Superman himself has. Now, what's interesting here is we have a lot of action here that happened fast-paced, and right away we have Superman and Superboy and Supergirl engaging in battle with General Zod, Jazzer, and Rogol Zaar. Now, Superman starts battling General Zod, and they start to communicate with each other at super speed. And this is where it's getting kind of interesting, because Bendis is introducing a new concept into the Superman power set, and that is particular the communication at super speed. Apparently, Kryptonians can push each other into super speed, and it's usually apparently what, I guess, friends or Kryptonians that are friendly with each other, they can push each other and communicate with each other in super speed mode. And Zod does that to Superman to basically tell Superman, look, I'm not really with Rogol Zaar, but I'm with Rogol Zaar. I just want to lure him into a false sense of security, but I can't defeat Rogol Zaar by myself. And also, I think that Jor-el has something to do with this. Jor-el knew from what Rogol Zaar told me, your dad, Jor-el, knew about the destruction of Krypton. So find out if it's true, because I want to hold everybody accountable. And Superman says, look, I want to hold everyone accountable too who knew about the destruction of Krypton. And then basically Zod then just takes off, and that battle ends. Meanwhile, another great epic scene is with Supergirl and Rogol Zaar. Now, one of the things that's been taking place in the pages of Supergirl, that people who are just reading Superman, if you're just reading Superman, you're missing out on a better superhero series, and that is Supergirl. In the pages of Supergirl, Supergirl is very angry. Everything she does is for candor. She's very angry, and she's in dealing with her anger. She's actually attracted to Rogol-Zaar's axe. Rogol-Zaar's axe is attracted to anger, and it feeds off anger. The more angrier you get, the more powerful the axe becomes. And what's interesting is that Rogol-Zaar has been trying to call out to his axe from the very beginning. From the very beginning, ever since Rogol-Zaar lost his axe at the end of the Man of Steel series, Rogol-Zaar has wanted his axe back. And Rogol-Zaar discovers in this issue why he's not been able to really find his axe and why the axe hasn't returned to him, and that's because of Supergirl. And what's very interesting here is that Supergirl's anger appears to exceed even the anger of Rogol-Zaar, because in the battle of the axe, it's like the axe was deciding which person to go to, Rogol-Zaar or Supergirl. But just as Rogol-Zaar is going for his axe, Supergirl reaches out her hand and it's attracted to Supergirl. And it's almost as if Supergirl's anger is more powerful than Rogol-Zaar's, and she uses it, and she actually gives Rogol-Zaar a pretty good kind of shellacking, both with her fist and I'm assuming even a couple times with the axe. Ivan Reis on the art here does a really great job of showing just the battle sequences and even the communication at super speed. You really get a sense at the super speed nature of the battle. Ivan Reis does a really good job here. Bendis here with focusing and getting people to appreciate that these Kryptonians fight at blindingly fast speed, and you really get a sense of just how fast that is. And at first it took a while in previous issues for me to get used to all the fast pacing and everything else, but I'm starting to get a little bit used to it now. I'm starting to get used to sort of the pacing in this. We don't really necessarily learn a lot in this issue than we already knew, but the characters themselves have found out some more. Superman now knows what Supergirl knows, namely that the Circle is responsible for it, that Gandello was the primary person who's responsible, as far as she can tell, in terms of hiring Rogol-Zaar to destroy Krypton. Superman finds out from Jor-El that Jor-El himself was a member of the Circle. He finds that out essentially through his communications with General Zod, and also, Jor-El himself confirms it. And Jor-El says something very interesting to Superman, because Superman says to his dad, why is everyone always trying to kill you? And Jor-El says to him, because most of the galaxy does not want unity and peace. They are not created for it. Because he says to his son, Jor-El says, I thought that was the one thing that Earth could definitely teach you, and that was, to teach you unity and peace. But, Jor-El says to Superman, look, son, Earth can teach you love, and you can teach Earth love, but that's a very stilted, he called it a stilted perspective on the universe. So that almost as if, having love and unity and peace it's not a realistic way to approach peace and unity in the galaxy. So right away we see a difference between Jor-El is very jaded and is not near as hopeful, as optimistic as his son Superman, obviously. And so it's very interesting. As the issue progresses, it becomes clear that the House of El is essentially victorious. There's a great sequence where Supergirl, Superboy, and Superman, of course, they all use their heat vision at the same time to basically blast Rogol-Zaar and basically get him away from the ship as Jor-El blasts away, and they blast away to safety to get them away from Rogol-Zaar and General Zod. And of course, Rogol-Zaar at this time doesn't appear to know that Zod is secretly working in conjunction with Superman to try to get more information on Rogol-Zaar, because Zod knows that he cannot defeat Rogol-Zaar by himself. So that's very interesting there. Now, meanwhile, Supergirl makes it clear to Superman that, look, I want to take Superboy with me because I want to continue to go after Gandello. And if you're following, you should be following and collecting Supergirl, because that's a great series where she's basically, over the last many months, she's been going after Gandello. That's really great, and she wants to continue to go after Gandello, to hold Gandello accountable to Gandello's people, which part of the Trillium Galaxy collective. And Gandello needs to be held accountable. Gandello is a real piece of work, let me tell you. And in fact, Gandello's adoptive son, Zindel Cole, is actually sort of a potential love interest for Supergirl in the pages of Supergirl, so you might want to go check that out. That's pretty good. So at the end of this series, at the end of this particular issue, at the end of this issue, Supergirl and Superboy are going off to check out and to hold Gandello accountable. Meanwhile, Superman and Jor-El have their conversation that I already alluded to, that Jor-El says, look, you can't be naive here. Well, come with me and we'll go to Krypton. And the series, the issue ends with Jor-el basically taking Superman to what's left of Krypton to reveal more secrets to him. And next issue is teased to be where we find out yet more answers about why Krypton specifically was destroyed. What was it specifically that seemed to rile the ear of Gandello and Rogol-Zar in particular to destroy Krypton, feeling that it absolutely needed to be destroyed. This is something that is really something that we're going to have to get a handle on, because this is something which will fundamentally change the way that we view the Superman's origins. Because as Superman himself says to his father, like, I don't even, like, do I even know you? Like, I mean, Jor-el, remembered that even before Man of Steel, Jor-el was Mr. Oz, right? And we thought that Dr. Manhattan had rescued Jor-el from the destruction of Krypton. We thought that one of the things that Dr. Manhattan did when he came to, one of the theories anyway, was that, this blue light that had rescued Jor-el from the destruction of Krypton. We assumed that was Dr. Manhattan. Maybe it was Dr. Manhattan. We don't know. But now, you never know, because of the Revelation and Doomsday Clock, if the metaverse is changing and the history of these matters is changing, is it possible that Jor-el actually survived Krypton because he knew in advance it was going to be destroyed and he managed to save himself? That maybe Dr. Manhattan didn't save him? Is there some other force at play that saved Jor-el, or did Jor-el save himself? He saved his son and then managed to save himself. Is it still the case that Dr. Manhattan or some other force saved Jor-el? We don't know. So these are questions that we have because we don't really know what the history is of Superman's origin yet. Has it been changed? Has the metaverse shifted a bit as per Doomsday Clock 10? And as per the unknown force that was identified in the metaverse that is sort of slowly changing Superman's mythology from generation to generation. These are questions that we have. It's going to be interesting to see Bendis' take on all of this. Finally, one of the revelations in this issue is some Kryptonian slingshot technology. Apparently, Jor-el has created a teleportation technology such that Superboy is wearing a slingshot technology that only applies to Kryptonian physiology, such that if you wear it, you and any other Kryptonian can slingshot to any part of the galaxy. And Superboy is utilizing that, and him and Supergirl will take advantage of that slingshot technology to take them to Gandello. And that slingshot technology was something that Superboy and Superman used in I believe it was issue 10, when Superboy first appeared, when Superboy finally returned and surprised his parents by being 7 years older, 17, not 10 years old. And then at the end of that discussion, suddenly Superboy slingshotted into the air, into the other part of the galaxy, and Superman held on to him, and he was slungshot with him, and that's how they ended up in front of at Jor-el's ship as it was being attacked by Rogol-Zar and General Zod. Guys, like, this is a very fast-paced story. It's fun. I think that this is going to read a lot better as a trade, but you can really see the fast-paced nature of it, how fast things are occurring, and how information is gathered, really a lot of it at super speed, and a lot of the conversations which are happening between Kryptonians is happening at super speed as well. The only time that you ever get a really break as well is when they're talking to non-Kryptonians, like when Superman's talking to the leaders of the Thanagarians, the Ranians, and the Trillium Collective as he was breaking up, trying to facilitate a ceasefire in issue 11. But guys, this is very fast-paced. A lot of questions that we have here. Did Jor-el know ahead of time that Kryptonian was going to be destroyed? Is that why he saved himself? How does this put a spin on the Doomsday Clock scenario? What is different now about Krypton? And what exactly did the Circle know? Are there other people in the Circle that betrayed Krypton? What about King Myander of the Tamaranians? Did he betray Krypton? What about Sardath of the Ranium planet? Did he betray? Was he aware of what was going to happen to Krypton? It's hard to say. And what exactly did Jor-el know? We don't know, but it's really interesting. Things are heating up here. Again, I think Bendis is really starting to find himself. I know I flip-flop a little bit when I'm reviewing the Superman issues, but, it is what it is. Also, check out the Supergirl issue this month, too. It's kind of a repetitive issue, but it sort of fills in the gap, but more from Supergirl's perspective. So, guys, tell me what you think of Superman issue 12. And in the meantime, hit the subscribe button. Follow me on Twitter at Metropolis40. And until next time, Comic Boom, out.